Yes, okay, got it. Is it showing the background of the? Oh, interesting.
Maureen, I have a question. It's really just, I'm trying to clarify a few things and do some beating of the bushes. Our two open positions are from the Republican side?
No, one each.
Oh, okay.
No.
No?
Well, no.
Oh, sorry,
we're-
who from where?
We have two open positions and I wondered if they were, I thought they were Republicans. but-
Republican, they're both Republican, not Democrat. I filled everything.
Oh, okay.
Fiona-
Diane and I,
Oh, I'm
We're
sorry, I had Fiona in the
confused
wrong
then.
spot. Sorry, Fiona.
okay, so two Republicans.
My official
Dave?
list says there's 2 empty Republican positions. I have to talk to Dominic again about it.
Yes, thank you, Dave. We were going to ask you.
And I don't mean to be ignorant, Dave, but because I don't play well in the political waters. So I just want to make sure if I'm thinking of someone, but I'm not sure if they're unaffiliated or if they're Republican. Can they still go for a Republican position? If they're
If they
unaffiliated?
apply, yes.
Okay.
Short answer is yes. Contact Dominic Payne, or you can give me their name at another time and I will tell him.
I just didn't know if there was some protocol. I didn't want to,
So it has to go
I-
through town committee, but nope.
All right, so we'll let the ladies try to get us ready to be streaming.
Well, that's why I figured I'd do it while they were busy. So.
If you can just hang in for another minute, we're having a little problem with the streaming.
No problem.
We'll get right
Wait.
back to you.
Yep.
Not going anywhere.
I'm glad you're doing it.
Diane, you
Elizabeth-
just have to talk faster.
Yeah. So Elizabeth, we know that Lisa Jones and Anna Eddy will not be at tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Diane.
How about Iris? Is Iris on?
Iris is on. I saw her.
Oh, I don't see her.
On my
Above
screen,
you.
she's right above you.
Upper right-hand corner.
Oh. Hi, Iris. Have to clean my eyes.
There you go. Now we can see her face, her eyebrows. Elizabeth, we also have Scott McBride as a new trustee. You might not have him on your roll call yet.
Oh, thank you. I actually got the updated Board of Trustees, and so I updated him in there.
Great, thank you.
Good.
Speaking of which, Scott, I apologize. This is Leanne Mankey. I'm the treasurer, and I didn't send you the documents last week. I sent them to you earlier today for the treasurer's
document?
report.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I got them
so-
all. That's fine.
All right.
Okay. Okay, I think we're all set. I'm sorry about that.
Not a problem.
We're having a night over here.
Sounds like it.
Did you hear that squeal? We're all set.
Anybody else hear Diane? I can't hear her.
I can't either.
Now I'm off mute. I put it on mute to get the, tell somebody I was, who called that I was in a meeting. Anyways, welcome to the May 9th meeting of the Lucy Robbins Wells Library Board of Trustees. We'll move right into roll call. Elizabeth, if you would be so kind as to go through that.
Okay. Andy Brecker,
Please take yourselves off mute and notify that you're there. Elizabeth doesn't always look up. And also when
here.
we're speaking, please say your name throughout the meeting when you speak. Thanks,
Andy
Andy.
Brecker is here.
Thank you.
thank you. I'll skip Anna since you said she wasn't going to be here. Laurel Goodgen,
Here.
Lisa Jones, you also said wasn't going to be here. So Pauline Crook,
Here,
Iris Larson.
she's here, she's on mute.
Unmute.
Okay, thank you. Leanne Mankey,
Here.
Scott McBride,
Here.
Maureen O'Connor Lyons,
Here,
Neil Ryan,
Neil Ryan here.
Christine Shushin,
here,
Diane Stam,
Here.
Fiona York,
Here.
Lisa Maston,
Here,
Aaron Benner,
here,
Sheila Rowell,
Here.
David Nagel,
Here.
and Sharon Braverman.
Here.
That's the roll.
Thank you very much. Karen, do we have anybody signed in for public participation?
we do not.
Okay, thank you. I'll move on to town council liaison. Dave, do you have a report for us or anything you'd like to share?
Yeah. Dave Nagel simply is related to the library. At the last meeting before the last meeting, there was a public hearing about the central facilities building committee being adopted, the document, and it was adopted. And during the meeting itself, there were minor changes to it in terms of language. There was nothing done that changed anything that would apply to the library and what was agreed to and you've talked about several times previously. And because of an uptick in COVID within town hall, the town council meeting tomorrow will be totally virtual. So please don't go to town hall because we will not be there live. And I just found out about this morning. So there's news for you. So that's it, unless somebody else has a question.
Anybody have a question for Dave?
I have a question, Leanne Mankey. Dave, now that that's been officially adopted, where does the status have the committees that were originally formed but had not go to referendum, like the library edition, are they officially disbanded now, or is that another ordinance?
I do not have an answer to you, but I would assume that they have to meet to disband themselves, but I will check with the town clerk, or you may do so if you wish to.
Okay, I just didn't know if you knew, because I had some confusion on that.
I think if I remember in the past when things were changed, that a committee had to disband itself before a new one could take its place. But this was an unusual situation, so we both need to talk to James about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other
You're welcome.
questions for Dave? Seeing none, I'm going to move on to the secretary's report. Iris?
No report.
Thank you. I will look for an approval of the minutes sent out previously. Has everyone had a chance to read and review the minutes? Any comments or suggestions? Laurel, I see your hand up. Laurel?
Yeah, Freeberg's name is misspelled. Gary Free.
Furstenberg.
Yeah, I meant to look it up before the meeting and I forgot to. I'm sorry, but it is definitely not spelled that way.
That's in section 3.
Oh, yeah. Dave.
Well, he's on the town payroll.
Elizabeth, I have the spelling for you. Hold on one second. It's F-U, oh, what? I can't read. Hold on one second.
Oh, God. Where are your glasses?
I don't know my glasses here.
Elizabeth, it's Andy Brecker, F-U-E-R-S-T-E-N.
And B-E-R-G.
B-E-R-G.
Yep, sorry. My glasses got missed.
Thank you.
Any other corrections or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Leanne Mankey, so moved.
Maureen Lyons, second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? I'm going to say Scott McBride is on mute, but I would think he would abstain because he was not.
Yeah, I understand.
Thank you. Thank you. Motion carries forward. We'll accept the minutes as amended. Next up is the review of the annual activities calendar. And as we know from being on the race meeting earlier, it's all about the race, which is this Saturday. So we're looking for our volunteers to arrive at 7 o'clock. The registration opens Sunday morning at 7:30 for patrons. Please get there as close to 7 as you can. We'll be setting up tables, putting out food, doing the balloons, the gifts, all sorts of things. So many hands make light work. On Saturday for the race pickup, I have a couple of volunteers to do that. And we can go into more detail when we get down to the race again, but it is all about the race this time of the year. The other things that we have on there is that coming up soon, we will be talking about nominations and committees that people would like to be on for the next year as they go forward. Scott, everybody goes on the PEP committee when they're new, planning evaluation. What is it?
And policy.
And
Policy.
thank you. And then you get to join a couple other committees that you might be interested in to go through from that end. So that's really what's going on in the month of May. The Friends book sale has already happened, which was nice. Nice to know that they could pull that off. Probably very challenging with the book sale and the race in back-to-back weeks for our staff to support. But that's what I have on the activities calendar. Anyone else? The next report would be the treasurer's report. Leanne Mankey.
All right. I sent out 2 reports as I was away just before the April meeting. I did not have a written report for you, so I sent that in this month's report, the March 31st, and also the period ending April 30th. It has been very busy in terms of the account. We have a lot, pretty much all the sponsorships in, other than the two that I alluded to that I guess are primarily mostly in kind. I thought they were going to be financial. We have had some very generous donations in terms of from people, including the establishment of a new fund that is primarily for the purchase of Women's Sleuth Mysteries books. So that's about $1,000 that is encumbered, but it will allow the collections to be improved in that particular genre. We have the laptop is back from the Scott Hoagland upgraded our laptop for us so that we no longer have the inevitable spinning wheel of, well, death, I call it, because I used to turn on the computer and wait 10 minutes before I could get it to open. So we're up and running there. We still have to get an external hard drive, I believe, for backup, but we're at least in good shape now. So that's started. In terms of our balances, at the end of April, our checking account is at $48,164.53. The money market, which is unrestricted at Kingston, is at $106,980.65. Santander money market, which is restricted funds that are accessible at, right from within the local bank, $29,210.60. We have, as I said, that the laptop is back in place, so we will have an expenditure for that external hard drive, but otherwise we're all set. Everything is paid to date. And the only thing that's really happened of any large import is the payment for the t-shirts was made last week, which is a little over $2,000. So we have a healthy balance in the checking account.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Leanne?
No.
This is going to be a great meeting. We're going to get out on time.
There's no time.
Fingers are
Just
crossed.
first us.
Everybody
There's no
cross their
wait time.
fingers. All right, so I don't see one last call. Any questions for Leanne? No, thank you. We'll move on to the library director's report. Lisa?
Hey, everyone. I think I'll start with the COVID stuff. You got the email today that we had to go virtual. That was mainly because there's been a high uptick in COVID infections amongst staff, for town staff. So that was one of the reasons we went virtual. It's kind of running rampant. We're hoping it's not going to hit the library, honestly. So that's why everything was kind of went virtual today. Because you have seen, I think the last 3 or 4 weeks, the numbers have gone up in Newington in general, but internally the town's been hit pretty hard the last couple of weeks. So we're trying to, stop it as much as we can. So what that means for the library is everyone has to wear a mask. Most of the staff had been wearing masks anyway when it was optional, but now everyone, staff and patrons, have to wear masks when they're in the building. And also there is going to be a sign-in sheet when people come in, and programming is going to go, as of next Monday, we'll go back to virtual only. So, hopefully we'll be able to go back to starting up our in-person programming again. We have been able to do a little bit of it the last few weeks, but right now, it's challenging to do that. And so that's kind of where we are with that. The last 2 weeks, really, we've been kind of inundated with book sale stuff. Sheila's going to talk more about it, but we had the book sale, so we've been working on that, as well as the library road race stuff here. And also we're getting our new footnotes ready for the summer. I don't know if you've been here in the last week, but the Friends Ugly container is gone. They came in last Wednesday or Thursday and took it away, and it was fascinating. I stood out there the whole time and I watched this guy. He had to drive up on the lawn, he had to drag it over and then put it on his truck, and he was amazing. So they took it away, and next Wednesday, we're supposed to be getting the new shed. So that will be exciting to have that for the friends. It'll give them much more storage, and also will give us more storage that we can use in the smaller shed. And one thing that's been going around, and several people who went to the Connecticut Library Association last week, they had a program that was talking about books that are being challenged. I'm sure you've been reading that in the national news, that, not only in school libraries, but in public libraries, people are challenging certain types of books. And Connecticut has been starting to experience that as well in different towns. I think Farmington, Avon were a couple that were recently had books challenged. So we recently updated the policy that Pep had been working on, and we do have that in our policy manual. And I am gonna also send it out to the town council so they can see what our policy is and also how we handle challenges. Some of these people are going directly to elected officials. They're not talking to the library first if they're challenging books. So we just want to be prepared. We do have a pretty, we have a policy, we have a procedure, we have forms that the people have to fill out, and they're pretty explicit now as to who can challenge them and who can't. And then I think, as you remember, they have to be Newington residents, they have to have a library card, things like that. So we do have that information at the desk. That's what they recommended, is that you make sure you have all the policies at the public desks, and that the elected officials should be aware of what the policies are in case, and I think it's a group. What is the name of the group?
I can't remember.
There is a group that's actually behind these challenges in Connecticut. So I just wanted you to be aware of it, because certainly if something gets challenged beyond, and if I can't handle it at my level, it gets bumped up to the board. So I think you need to be aware of it, if nothing else. And just also, the last thing is that we are getting ready for summer reading, believe it or not. It's actually not that far away. I was thinking, oh, we'll have a break and everything. And I'm like, no, it's coming fast. Summer reading kicks off, actually for adults, it's June 7th. Wow, that's early. And then June 15th for teens and children's. And the theme this year is Oceans of Possibilities. So we're getting ready for that as well. And that's all I have.
Great. Any questions for Lisa? Go ahead, Fiona.
Question. Yep. Hi, Lisa. It's Fiona.
Hi, Fiona.
So you mentioned the COVID, everyone has to wear a mask. Does that apply? So are unvaccinated children not allowed?
No, I think when they talk, we do have children's masks here, and really, I think it's going to be like usually if somebody up to the age of 2 or 3, we wouldn't push for them to have a mask on, but if they're older than that, we do have children's masks at the circulation desk. The parents absolutely have to have masks on, but if it's an older child, they're going to have to wear a mask. It's that can be a little tricky, to be honest. But we are putting it out there. We'll have a sign in the children's department, and we will, make people aware of it. But if we won't know if they're vaccinated or unvaccinated, because we don't actually ask them that question.
Yeah, I was just thinking of the kids under the age that cannot, I guess I should have been more clear. Sorry about the babies that can't be vaccinated.
Yeah, we don't expect them to wear a mask. That's really challenging for someone that age to wear a mask. So it's really going to be making sure the adult with them or whoever is with them has that mask on, but we don't push it for someone that age to have a mask on.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have questions? So Lisa, will we have extra masks for people that come in from the race to use the restrooms and stuff?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And then I would just suggest to our board members that you bring along with you a mask of your choice. If you're outside, you probably don't have to wear one, but if it's the numbers are going up. I'm sure many of you would be interested in having a mask, especially if you're involved at all with some of the food services or standing close to other folks. You just might want to have one handy. So try to remember to bring that along. Got that. Any other questions or observations? No? Okay, good. Thank you, Lisa. Next, we move on to the Assistant Library Director's report. Karen?
Hi, Lisa was talking about getting ready for summer reading. The Children's Department is going to be starting their school visits in the next few weeks. They are going into the classrooms at the elementary schools at this point. That's what the plan is, to promote summer reading. And they are going to have a recorded session available for the middle schools at this point. I think probably depending on the COVID rates, but that's what's planned for right now. We are going to be starting to circulate lawn games. They're going to go out for a week. The games include spike ball, bocce ball, yardsie, cornhole, a ladder toss, and a few others. So that's something new that we're doing for the summer that we're excited about. I think I mentioned at the last meeting about our live virtual author visit with Stuart Onan. He's going to be talking about his new book, Ocean State. This is the one that we have a collaboration with a number of area libraries. I think there are 9 maybe. Jeanette Francini spearheaded this. That is on June 16th at 7 p.m. So for anybody who's interested to call to register, or they can register online. We're also selling his book now at the library. And I think somebody had asked at the last meeting if the program could be recorded. Jeanette had reached out to the author and he said that that would be fine. Oh, the books are actually autographed as well that we're selling. And they're at the end of the circulation desk for anybody who's interested. Prior to his visit, or his virtual visit, we are going to be holding 2 book discussions, one on June 2nd and the other on June 9th. One is going to be an evening one and the other is daytime. And just lastly, during the month, we had a theft. We had a patron in here who was in the quiet reference area. He left a hat and his watch at one of the cubicles there. He got up to browse. He had taken his laptop with him, but he left those other items. And when he got back, they were gone. So we're reiterating to patrons really not to leave any valuables, even if they're getting up to go to the bathroom or whatever. And I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Does anyone have questions for Karen? No. Thank you. A lot of work, and it's very sad. I'll never forget the first time I heard that patrons were stealing books that they could check out for free. Maybe patrons is the wrong word, but visitors.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Seeing no other questions, I'll move on to the Friends of the Library with Sheila.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm sorry my voice is not great. I am one of those COVID positive people that are making the numbers go up. So we did have the book sale, which was really successful after a 2-year hiatus. And we raised over $8,000 during that. Had a lot of fun doing it too. And we have, plans to get together and make plans for the next one that's going to be in the fall. We do have a date reserved the last weekend in October for the fall book sale. As Lisa said, the container's gone. We're very happy. Looking forward to excuse me, looking forward to being able to take some more donations and start working towards building the library up again, their friend's library for sales. We are also going to try to do a mini book sale on the June 11th on the porch of the library, just a small one, when they're having the town tag sale.
Great. Any
I think
questions,
that's-
for Sheila? Go ahead, Leanne. You're on mute.
I just wanted to, you said you were taking donations. Do we have a bin out or do we still make arrangements? by
As soon as
calling?
we will be getting, we've told the circulation desk, if people walk in with it, this is the last time I was there was a bin out. We had put one there, and we said we're not taking donations. But if somebody comes in with them, we told the circulation desk just to take them. I can't see telling people to take them back home. And as soon as the shed's there, we'll be open to donations.
Okay,
And we've picked up some. I mean, if they call, we'll pick them up. I mean, we'll take them.
all right. Any plans, and I know we're talking COVID uncertainty, any plans to bring back the winter
Winterfest,
festival?
yeah, Winterfest, that hasn't come under discussion yet. I think everyone would like to do something at that point. Hopefully, the next meeting we'll start discussing that.
Well, I will tell you, I talked to several people who went to the book sale and they were very pleased to see it return and they were very pleased with the selection of books.
Thank you.
I got one question.
Go ahead.
Sheila,
Leanne.
are the Friends meeting this Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay, I gotta check to see. I might be attending that meeting. So if you could send me the link. or have someone send-
Neil,
Karen?
it's Karen. I haven't done the link yet. I'm going to do it tomorrow and I will send it to you.
Okay, great. Thanks. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Sheila? Congratulations on that great turnout for the book sale. That's super. And I can't wait to get the shed. So glad the other thing is gone. Okay, from there, I don't see any other questions. We'll move on to our committee reports. Budget, Maureen?
Status quo. I mean, it passed and no changes as submitted.
Great, thank you.
Diane,
yes?
it's Andy Brecker. I have a new camera and microphone, so I don't know if anybody can hear me or not,
We
Yes.
can.
but good. Does the board have a budget?
I would say we don't have an annual budget. We probably should. We kind of pay for things as they come up in terms of the race committee, if anything was going to be extra.
I can say that we don't have a specific budget that's put forward every year and approved. I do have kind of a generic working spreadsheet about expected expenses like insurances and things like that. Because we change up different programs and things like that, in particular in the last couple of years with the COVID issues that we've expected, things are not as typical as what they have been, but we to answer your question, we don't have a budget that we vote on. It would not be untoward for us to develop one, but it's working without it. I'm not advocating that, but it is working without it.
Well, I don't know what anybody else thinks. I don't want to add any great burden, but it seems to me it's kind of a good board management exercise to go through, and before the fiscal year begins, or calendar year, however we want to do it. I suppose fiscal year works better because it matches with the town's budget year. Just so we all kind of know this is how much we're planning on spending on the race and other things that come up, how much of our earnings we're going to funnel back into collection development or whatever it is. But, we certainly have policies. It seems to me that we maybe want to reduce those once a year to a collective understanding of how we intend to pay for things.
Is that something that would be taken up with PEP? or as a board as a whole, Diane? Or Leanne?
I could
Well, I'd be
develop,
glad to work with Leanne on it to just, I mean, this is
yeah,
not
I mean-
anything really extensive. This is a 1 page.
yeah,
or
I mean,
less
this is
document.
more generalities about, I mean, under the various line items on the budget, we can put together the things. As I said, there are some things that shift, like collections and gifts to the library and stuff like that. But there are some pretty, there's a core group of items, basically administrative, like insurances and things like that, that we can very easily plan.
Right. I would think those administrative costs, we've had enough races now to kind of know what it cost for that. And, you know, the actual bottom line depends on, you know, what we make and what we spend. We have that in there. You know, Hanel events, things like that, they go up and down. They come out of a particular account, but they go up and down as we go through that. But we should be able to get together
The general operating budget, we can put together a budget.
right.
It's the special funds, those are kind of all over the place, but the operations, we can put together a general budget pretty easily.
Okay, that would be a good place to start. Thank you, Andy, for suggesting that. So we are at PEP, Planning, Evaluation, and Policy. Laurel, I'll ask you to report. So you come off mute. I think she said no report, but she's on mute. Can you hit your space bar? Just shake your head back and forth if there's no report. Okay, there's no report. I thought I was getting pretty good at lip reading for all these muted conversations. Thank you, Laurel. We'll move on to investment report with Neil Ryan.
All right, I sent out our investment committee report a couple of days ago. The report includes the results for March and April. And if you looked at the numbers, March was a wash. We didn't really gain or lose. April was not a good month for us. As you see, we dropped we lost $45,695.37. As of April 30th, 2022, our portfolio balance stood at $719,000. Should be $719,019.59. So as you see, the year has not been good, but the year for the market has not been good. So we're kind of in sync with what the market's been doing this year. And I just, there was a typo on what I originally sent out to you for April 30th, 22. I showed the restricted funds as being $719,019.59. That's wrong. Christine pointed it out to me. It should be $495,611.43. There was a flaw in my formula there. So like I say, that's where we stand right now as of April 30th. So like I say, it hasn't been a good year, but then it's only April. It's only early May. Yes.
That has to be incorrect. It's the unrestricted funds that are incorrect in the spreadsheet, not the restricted funds.
Oh, I'm sorry. I corrected the spreadsheet, but I didn't send it out. The unrestricted fund should read $223,408.16. That's what I didn't change.
Okay.
I'll send this back out. My apologies. Anyway, so I don't really have good news to report as far as our portfolio for this past month. But long term, I mean, the market eventually comes back. And I have no doubt that our portfolio will come back. Any questions?
Thanks, Neil. I'm looking for questions. Anyone?
There are no questions to ask.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's a surprise for anybody that's been paying attention to news or
No.
their own lives at this point. So I don't see any questions. Going once, going twice. Okay. Next up is House Committee with me. So the library overall is looking very well. The walkthrough that we do, the checklist is got a whole list of completed. There's a few minor items, painting, stuff like that, where things are in progress or need to be done by staff. We had talked about replacing curtains. That's not quite done yet, but so many of the items have been done. A couple of weeks ago, I was at the library during daylight hours and walked around, and just in preparation for the race and for spring cleaning and stuff, I had asked for some work orders to be placed with the town. As you know, because of the way the library is set up, the town is really the one that maintains our lawns and ground space and things like that. So we had placed a couple of orders. Some of the arborvitaes along the Hart Lane borderline have died or not made it. So those should be at least removed, if not removed and replaced. There was a boxwood in front of on Cedar Street with the Churchill door. One of them died. They left the other one there. It's unbalanced. So there are things like that that need to go through. You always have to do a spring cleanup. My thought was with so many people coming to the town to do the race and being, up and down Mazzicoli Way and what have you, it was a good time to make sure that we were getting those work orders in and telling folks what was happening. One thing I did notice is at the end of our parking lot, as you go down towards the Garfield lot, it looks like where we put snow and things, the grass is gone and it's a muddy expanse. I'm not quite sure the drainage is working right there. Maybe it's improved, that could have been the timing of my visit with the rain and things like that. So those are the type of things we're just asking the town to look into and make sure that we've got our best foot forward as we have everybody literally milling around in that area. So we tried to plan ahead to do those things. So it was the cleanup of that. And it did, in the work order, it did state the date of the race, just to kind of give them a guide. I know they have a lot of property in town between all the schools and the buildings and stuff to get to. So that's really it for House at this point, unless anybody has any questions. I don't see any, so I will give it one more glance and then move on to facility and site with Maureen.
Hi, did you all receive the email I sent with the updated feasibility study and the architectural conceptual drawings?
Yes.
Okay. We had a meeting on May 4th.
No. When did
No?
you send that? When did you
Just-
send that?
Just this afternoon.
I don't
Oh,
think that I
okay.
got that either.
Oh.
This is Fiona.
I didn't see it in there, but
Hang on. Anyway, I will check and forward
Anyway.
it again, but we had a great meeting, interesting meeting on May 4th with Leslie Berger and Andrew Berman, and then two of his associates to review primarily. She updated the actual feasibility study and still has some work to do on it, but we actually got to look at the preliminary drawings of a new library and a reimagined library. And they were pretty exciting, I thought. Now, what I did say in my email when I sent the plans to you all is that it's nothing is etched in stone, it's preliminary, nothing is approved, but going in the right direction. Essentially, if things go according to Hoyle, the original building, the facade on Cedar Street and our reading area, that section will remain intact, and everything else would be replaced. It would be a 2-story structure, quite modern, a lot of windows, a lot of light, emphasis on community gathering and I mean, still the collection is important in all things library, but not as extensive because of the way libraries have changed, you know, throughout the years. So libraries are more of a community gathering place as well as a repository for books,
Yeah.
etc. So if any of you have had a chance to look at it, if you have any questions, hang on, let me see who's on this.
I will add that.
Chris,
that
you
I'm
were on the
impressed with
list.
Yeah, I see that it's in there. It came just before 5 o'clock, so that's why I didn't see it.
I will say when you're looking at it, one of the things that was stressed during our discussion, because sometimes looking at plans, some people don't read them as easily as others. There's a lot of flexible multi-purpose space, which is one of the key things that we were looking for that is proposed within this particular diagram. It is just a potential rendering. This is not the be all end all. There was discussion that came up to add in more, the thinking being that we should ask for the moon and maybe we'll get the stars, but to put out all possibilities within it. So they've gone back to tweak it, which is, but it is really exciting to see because it's a really good usage of our lot space, whether it be parking, building, or outside space. It shows you what we can do with our space.
Hi, Maureen, this is Fiona again. I just checked and I don't have an email.
No, I'm in the process of forwarding
Okay,
it to you,
thank you.
Fiona.
Thank you
I'm
so
waiting
much.
for it all to load.
Okay.
Did you get a copy to Scott while we were at it? Was he on that? list?
Scott was on the original distribution.
Yeah, I got the copies.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm
Laurel,
sorry,
you said your
Fiona.
hand
I
up?
don't know how I missed you.
Laurel,
But anyway,
okay.
it was very exciting to look at something that's really so totally different than what we have. And if it comes to fruition with changes and tweaks, it would certainly be a focal point and a boon to Newington. You know, it would, I think the library, any library, regardless of the town, the city, is the heart of its abode, you know. And we've always said, or Marie Dowling always said, that the library is the best public relations vehicle that a town could have. And certainly we've always looked at Lucy Robbins that way. So if we could get even some of what they presented, it would be great. And of course, there's funding, and the town has to, it would have to go to referendum. The original thought was that we would get it on the November referendum, but if not, we'd have to call for a special election. We're waiting for the next 2 weeks to get the updated plans for our request. There's within the plans there, they talked about the different spaces. Well, that's something that even if it were approved tomorrow, those spaces are flexible. That's something that would have to see how that would work once we were in that building. A lot of flexibility within the plans, the floor plans themselves. It would be very open, and the collection, which one of the things that Leslie Berger stresses, that our collection needs to be culled. it's the way of the libraries today. I mean, you still will have books, but, and whatever else that's hard copies, but not as many. And shelving is different. The displaying of books is different. There's a lot of peripheral display that would go around the walls. You know, it's not, if you can envision walking into a library and just not staring at stacked, it would be much more open, much more available.
So Maureen, there were a couple of people with questions. I saw Laurel's
Yes.
hand up first,
Mhm.
and then Leanne's hand was up for a bit. Laurel?
Laurel?
Yes, I think the suggested layout is exciting, has a lot of good things to offer. I like the usage of the parking lot, use that very well. But I would really caution the board on the atria, 2 atria. They're very large. It's a lot of lost space, and they do not have good records in other libraries. So do more research in that area before you go with having an atrium. They are a source of noise and a light problem, plus the ceiling having the what do I want to say, the skylights on the top when we're already suffering from that here is not something to pursue.
Right.
But I
Well,
really liked a lot of the layout. I thought he had some very good ideas and incorporated a lot of Leslie's suggestions.
Laurel, you brought that up, your concerns about the atria at the meeting.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the, I think Andrew made good note of that.
Good,
think
I
that-
hope so.
Yeah, I think that's one of the items that he will be working on. It's pretty, but not necessarily functional.
And,
in the way
and
that
we could use the space too.
Right.
It's otherwise it's
and there
lost
was,
space.
you know, I think it was brought up, Leanne may have brought it up about the attack, I don't know the building term, you know, from where the old building is to new. And
Oh,
the way
yes.
it's attached and, you know, that type of thing. So I do think he made note of that. There was some discussion. So hopefully we'll see a change, but you know, again, what they come back to us in 2 weeks, if it's a work in progress.
And there were some
And-
exciting things in there, but
Yes, very.
it is
Hold
a
on.
case
So
of,
this is Leanne
it all
talking
is
now.
it is very fluid, and it would also, you got to remember that once we can come up with this, just like any rendering, that even when it goes to referendum, what you end up with can be very different once
Oh,
you
yes.
do with financing and you have a building committee. But
Right.
what was put forward was definitely exciting to see where we potentially could go. One thing I just wanted to make you aware of, I did attend the Connecticut State Library grant program. I think I mentioned at the last meeting that the town grant writer couldn't go because it was geared only to specific personnel or trustees or what have you. That is the first step to applying for a grant, whether we do it for a large construction grant or we do it for a smaller project. So we've ticked that box, and they have a very, very extensive website. I've forwarded Maureen the information so she can look at it too. They have a lot of great ideas and things that we can go to and utilize them as a resource, but we have ticked the box so that we can start the process. We do, even though we are privately owned, because of our public relationship with the library, we qualify under their specifications as a public library. So when we apply, that would be the route we go, because it is two-pronged.
Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you.
And
I
the
just wanna-
town grant writer would assist us.
Yes, she would assist us, yes.
Fiona, you had a question?
I just had a comment. I just thank you, Maureen. I just got your email, so I just looked through it quickly. So I think I agree with the noise. My library has an atrium like setup as well. I will say, I think that when people walk in, they love the light that comes from it. And again, I haven't looked at the plans in depth yet, but I will. But also noise, I noticed noise is a huge like the way that the furniture and the bookshelves are set up is how you muffle a lot of noise in libraries. So I think
Yes.
that if there's ways that they can increase the light exposure while not obviously having direct light on like the collection, or, you know, or making a big space that echoes a lot, then I think there's ways to do that. So I'm excited to look more at everything, but it sounds really great.
Okay, so this is Diane, and just another word to the wise. What had us so excited was that it gave people like me who sometimes have a problem envisioning what could be done in that space, right? So that's like the kickoff starting point. So if you think of this rendition as a starting point, and now we go back and we get into some of the nitty gritty. Some of the things that were talked about there was, instead of skylights, maybe they could be solar panels on the top, and maybe that would help defray cost, and maybe there were things. So there are a lot of discussions, a lot of things going on, the pros and cons, you know, how do you do away with the noise of an atrium but still get a lot of natural light? When you look at that picture, for anybody who's opened that up, you can see that there's a lot of light all around. So hopefully that would help give that. A couple of years ago, when we were doing this, people that toured many different libraries, and I would encourage anybody to do that, the ones that came back with the highest marks were the ones that had the most natural light, which is inviting, and it can also be a challenge in itself to protect the materials, and also sometimes to just protect glare. I mean, how many times have you been in a supermarket with those huge windows, and if the sun's at the right place, you know, you spend half an hour like this at certain times of the day. So there are lots of things going on. But again, for me, when I opened that picture and looked at it the first time, I thought, oh my gosh, we could do so much more with the property that we have and still meet all the needs. So that's where we're going. So it's a possibility. And, you know, to Leanne's comment earlier, don't think that that's what's going to be there when it's done. It's an imagining to try to get us thinking, to then have us go back and see where we can fit things in and how we can accomplish it. But it is, I thought, a very attractive look, incorporating some indoor and outdoor space. How they're going to get, you know, they haven't done all the grading, they haven't done everything else. This is an idea, and where can we go with that? And then how can we fit things in? And I know that our library needs to be updated, and we need to be able to meet the needs of our community now. So,
And
where can we
Diane,
go with the budget? Yes.
This is Maureen. That's another thing. I mean, obviously it would, it's the library that would be, you know, reimagined and renovated, but it also put into perspective how it becomes a community facility. You know, with the space that would be allocated. It's not just, you know, there's obviously a community room that's larger than what we have, a little more flexible, but there are other areas within the library. For instance, we had a discussion about the teen area, and somebody brought up a very cogent point that the teens, you know, they're in school during the day. So what do you do with that space until, let's say, 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the afternoon? So it can be used for other things, meeting space, private study, private meetings. So nothing is just a closed door with a name on it, you know? And again, I'm not very, I have no imagination when it comes to spatial relationships and stuff. And it was great to see what could be done with a building, with our property, you know? So, and I've been on the committee for a while, and I never imagined that it could look like it was. I keep thinking, you know, you add a building, it's 4 more walls and some doors and rooms. And that's why you have clever people like architects and not, you know, me. So anyway, it's certainly a great starting point. And I think those of you who haven't opened the plans yet will be pleased with the possibilities.
Okay, any other specific questions on facility and site at this point? No, all right. So we'll give folks time to read through and see what's happening now that we've put all our caveats in there, but it was interesting.
Diane, Andy
Yes.
Brecker, can I just point out, we've asked the two consultants to make changes to their reports, so we should have those in about 10 days or so. So
Right, Maureen
at this
stated that
point,
at the beginning.
Yeah,
you
they
might-
said about 2 weeks.
you don't
yeah.
have to memorize these, but keep in mind, here's the essence of what we're doing. We are creating a library unlike any other. Like any other. Hartford area, Connecticut, maybe in the nation. We are taking all of the best ideas, the vision of the future, and putting them all in Newington's new Lucy Robbins Wells Library. And what these people are doing are they're helping us articulate what all those features are. And the architect's purpose now is really not to draw a pretty picture. It's to show that all those features can coexist, that there's how much space do we need? And one of the things Leslie's still working on that we haven't seen yet is the space program. You know, how much space needs to be allocated for each thing. But we're talking about a building 44,000, 48,000, 50,000 square feet compared to, what are we at now? 24,000, 32,000, something. A significantly larger structure, even though it would still have the same footprint, it would still fit on our property and still get us more parking spaces. So these clever ideas are what we want to focus on, but it's really the concept of how do you create a library of the future, put it all together, how much space is it going to require and how much is it going to cost? And those are all to be determined.
Right. So thank you, Andy. And I would just, and Iris, I'll come back to you in a moment, but I would encourage folks to read through that. And if you're not on the facilities and site committee, please share your ideas with Maureen so we can incorporate them. Iris, was there something you were going to say?
No, I got my answer, just listening. It's okay.
Okay, thank you, Iris.
I would just like to comment on one thing that Andy said. And I've worked with architects before. I think Andrew Berman is particularly articulate in translating what the ideas and the thoughts that we have into both his, you know, his verbal description and his drawing. He's, I think that's part of being a good architect. You also have to have a good understanding and command of the language and be a good listener. And he seems to do that very well.
And it's not his first library.
No, not at all. And that's another thing with Leslie and Andrew. They seem to, you know, have a lot of experience with other libraries. And one thing they did, one of their recent projects was in Bloomfield.
Yeah, there was Bloomfield and another town.
Leslie brought a good point. You know, you think about Newington, middle class, upper middle class. It's not Westport. It's not Simsbury. But she said that we were talking about the importance of the library and how people love libraries. And Bloomfield is a middle class town, and they embraced the new library referendum and the expenses wholeheartedly. So it was that was an encouraging report.
I think that was also the third attempt to get a library for
In
Bloomfield.
Bloomfield, and they're
Yeah,
doing two
They
buildings,
worked
right?
very hard on that over a period of years.
One of the other things that was stated is that you think of Newington as a middle class area, but there are plenty of homes without that extra capital to do some of these things. And I don't know, Leanne, if you remember what she said, or Andy.
It was 32% of our population is what they call house burdened, which means they don't have the discretionary income to pursue things beyond just basically maintaining their houses. They're house poor. So that means that they're looking for services, much like what the library can offer, that are going to be provided for free, programming, book, collection, borrowing, things like that, all those things that they're going to be looking for. And I believe there was also what we don't think about, I think, and I am quoting off the top of my head, but I believe that in terms of demographics, we were talking, I think it was 8% of the senior citizens are below the poverty level. And we also have 27% of our population are not, I mean, are minority. And also we have a very heavy population, and I can't remember what the percentage is, but it was very high. I think it was close to 20%, where you're talking other languages. So I mean, there's a whole different dynamic going on in town that, you can't just make the assumption that we are the town that we were 5 or 10 or 15 years ago.
Leanne,
Yep.
Go ahead, Neil.
no question. That data that you're referring to with respect to Newington, where does that data come from? Where'd you get
Oh,
that?
well, it's from the feasibility report, which you have, that Maureen
Oh,
sent you. If
okay,
you
right
look-
out of the
If you
report.
look in the feasibility study, she has compiled a significant amount of data that we need to consider as we're going
Okay.
forward.
Okay, no,
like,
it's in the
for
report.
example,
I'm sorry.
but
I
when
thought,
when you go into it, I mean, we have to think about when we're building a place, you have to build a space that for example, if we were going to offer something that would assist in helping people with English as a language, just as an example, you have to make
No,
sure
I
that you
got
have
it.
that
I'm
accommodated
good.
classroom space, that kind of thing.
no, I thought you come up with data from another source. It's my
No,
fault. I didn't check the
it is
feasibility
in
report.
her, it's in LDS's report.
Yeah, it's my
And
fault. I didn't check
And
that.
she's gotten that information from census reports and other definitive studies.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or points on facility before we move on? No?
I just encourage everybody to spend some time looking at it.
All right, thank you. Fund development, Anna Eddy is not here. She did a bang up job as always, getting sponsors for our race, and even reminding us that we should be our own best advocates, and we will have that legacy table out at the 5K race this year to try and get folks going up there. Lisa Jones with communications, she couldn't be here tonight, kind of last minute. Does anybody on that team have an update or information? No, then I'll say no report at this point.
I do have a question, Diane. What exactly are we providing at the fund development table, or the legacy table, I should say?
There were flyers. It was discussed last month.
Okay, so it was basically provision of the flyers and information.
Yes, and go ahead, Lisa or Karen.
Yeah, so Anna sent us a lot of materials, flyers. I don't know if there's a brochure. I think we have enough. We're going to print them out and have some, photocopies on hand for people to take. You want to add anything to that?
No.
Okay, that's about it. She has sent us a lot of information.
Okay. Great, thank you. Anything else under fund development? And Neil, I know you work with her closely on those things. Anything you wanted to bring up at this point?
No, there's nothing to add.
Thank you. Okay, next, nominations, Maureen.
Yes, it's that time of the year again, and June is our last meeting until September. So sometime between now and the June meeting, I will be sending out the nomination forms. And what that entails is that any of you who have terms that are expiring, if you could indicate on that, if you're willing to, stay on, to to stay on for another term. And also to indicate your interest in being an officer. That only applies to corporate members, but it's the president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. So if you're interested in any of those positions, now is the time to make that known. And then the voting is done at the annual meeting in September. The forms are self-explanatory, so look for them in your email. And then if we could get them back by the June meeting, it would be appreciated.
Thank you. And just one other thing is the committee definitions are
Oh,
on
the
there. And we
committee.
asked folks
Yeah.
to select committees that they're interested in. And I always like it if you can rank your committees 1, 2, and 3. You know, you would really like to be on this one and the other one and the other one. And I try to accommodate everyone, but sometimes we have to even things out just to get coverage in the different committees. All right. And Fiona and Scott, you're new to this process. Don't hesitate to raise your hand and ask us what's going on or what goes on from that area.
Diane, can I just ask a quick question,
Yes.
Fiona? Did you say the descriptions of each committee are on the forms that will be sent out through the email?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, great. Thank you.
All right. So somehow I jumped around and went from fund development to communications to nomination. So now we will, my apologies for that, and we'll move into old business, which is the library 5K race. And under that, I want to jump right into asking for a vote about the balloons. Pauline did some very nice research and she sent out an email, but I would like to officially have Pauline make a nomination for vote to approve funds for the balloons so that we can move forward with that.
There was just a little bit of a change that I was talking to Diane about. She wanted 2 extra balloons if I could that have 20, 25 or 25th on them. So that might increase it, but you're talking about $1 or $2. So they had said about us $80, and that would include the balloons, the helium. They're going to put cement at the tips of the balloons so that they will ensure that the balloons will stay upright for 24 hours. They will attach the balloons to those little stands with the sand in them. And there'll be 5 balloons per stand. So you're talking 10 little stands. So it's, in fact, stands are really inexpensive. And they will deliver it because it's over $60. They're going to deliver it. Everything is going to be taken care of. The only thing I have to do is make sure that the balloon colors are blue and white. And that if I can get a 225 anniversary balloon type things. But I think they're going to be doing a good job. They were thrilled with the business. I went to Party City on the Berlin Turnpike near Joanne's. And
so is the motion for approval of
$80?
Well, you said it would be more because of the potential of the other costs. So why don't we say 100?
If it goes up to 100, I don't think it's going to be that much. And because it's going to be, and because we're a nonprofit, there's going to give a 10% discount. And plus, because we're a nonprofit, I'll need the number for the nonprofit to make sure that they don't charge me taxes.
We
But
need a copy of the certificate.
yeah, so I can come to the library tomorrow sometime.
Well,
Or your house?
It would be the board certificate, so I can provide that to you. Hold on. I'll see if I can, my scanner's not working great, but maybe I can email it to you tonight.
Okay, very good.
Okay, so the
And then
motion is for
up to $100 for the balloons for the race.
okay, do I have a second for that?
Second.
Thank you, Laurel. All right, any further discussion on this? No? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? I don't see anyone opposed. I'll say the motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Leanne, it's Maureen. Can you include me on that mailing for the certificate for the tax?
By body language, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, sorry, just making a note because I won't remember when I turn off my
Okay.
computer. Um,
Okay,
Thank
so under the race, we're so close, which means there's a lot of last minute work to be done, but we'll just review a couple of things. We do have the volunteers for the Saturday packet pickup. Thank you very much. And those volunteers for this year would be Maureen and Fiona from 9 to 11. Pauline from 10:30 to 12:30. If anybody else is available to come. What we did last time is we set up some tables. We hand out the numbers to people that have already registered and hand out their t-shirts. And if anybody walks up and wants to sign up for the race at that point, we will take their registration. Okay. They don't get their number at that point. They have to pick up their number Sunday morning, I believe, because they have to be entered in the system. So if we had anybody else that was available from 10:30 to 12:30 with Pauline, that would be good. Neil is coming at 12. I'll be there at 12:30 or as close to that as I can get for the 12 to 2:30, and I'll stay through breakdown and clean up.
Diane?
Yes.
It's Lisa. I'm pretty sure that they get their number. That's the reason, one of the reasons they're picking up their race packet.
Right.
Oh, I think you're right. Okay. Yep. Sorry. They get their number and then we have to give the list to Kevin and he updates the list for the timer. Got it. The same as if they did it on a Sunday. Thank you for correcting me. So
Andy
anyone
Brecker
else?
has a question. Who do we send our trustee donations to? Do they go to Leanne, to Lisa?
Right, so the
Carolyn?
checks are made out to Lucy Robbins Wells Library, Inc.
Yeah.
You could drop them off at the library because what happens is there's a double check. Carolyn processes them and then they come to me and then I process them through the board books. But that way
Thank
they
you.
have a record of who the sponsors are as well.
Okay.
Just one question on the, it occurs to me, I can give you the certificate, Maureen and Pauline, but do you know if Avery and the Party City need a certificate 119 as well, or is our tax certificate enough?
That I do not know.
I don't know, but when I mentioned our tax-free status, my contact at Avery didn't have any additional thought about
Well,
it.
I'll give you the certificate. I mean, I'll give you the certificate, the tax exempt certificate that has our tax exempt number. If they need a 119, just let me know and I'll fill it out and we can do that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Nobody but you knows what a 119 is. And I personally never been asked for anything beyond just the
Certificate.
It's a newer form that sometimes some
Okay.
people have. These are general purchases, so they should be fine with a certificate. It's mostly when you start heading into services.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. We're doing the food pickup. Let's just kind of quickly go over who's doing what for the food pickup. Who's going to Veggie World?
I am on Friday. I'll get the list from Lisa and Karen before then.
Okay. And Maureen, you're doing Dunkin' Donuts, hopefully, for the bagels.
Yes, ma'am.
The hopefully part is Dunkin' Donuts, and let us know if we have to go to a plan B for those.
We should have that information tomorrow.
Good, good. And I'm trying to think, is there, so Avery's being delivered, balloons are being delivered. The Veggie World Fort, Leanne's gonna pick up. Is there anything else that needs to be picked up out there? All the door prizes have come in or are on their way?
And Neil has to pick up his from Trader
Yeah.
Joe's.
Yeah, a basket.
Trader Joe's, yeah, that's kind of a door prize that I'm gonna be picking up.
Right.
Yeah.
Water is already at the library, right?
And the water's at the library. Okay.
Scott and I
and
picked
then-
it up on Sunday.
I'm sorry?
Scott and I picked it up on Sunday, all the
Thank you.
water.
Thank you very much. And then as far as Sunday morning, bring your masks, bring comfortable shoes, hats, sunscreen, whatever you need, because I'm hoping that the weather is going to be gorgeous. And I would suggest you bring your masks. You're going to need a mask to get into the building with the current COVID status, and you may or may not choose to wear the mask when you're outside. Certainly, if you're in a close area, you might want the mask on. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns for?
I would think if you're working with food, you might wear a mask.
Yes. Agreed. Anyone else? Lisa or Karen, is there anything we forgot? Oh, Christine, you're going to be Bill Rogers' handler? Yes, she's shaking her head. Yes, thank you.
Just a reminder, you've already made a note, Karen and Lisa. I just need a note of how much cash you want. And I know that the library has a cash box, or do we need one this year?
We have it,
Okay,
and we'll get you that information tomorrow, Leanne.
okay. Thank you.
So hopefully people will be arriving at the library area. I would ask that if you are able to park farther away, say at the senior center, that you do that, so that the parking for the library and Garfield Street and Town Hall and stuff there are for the runners. We're usually there before the race starts and don't go home until after the race ends. But it'll go quick for those of you who haven't been to the races lately. And again, asking people to arrive at the library at 7 a.m. on Sunday morning.
I have one other question regarding Avery. I believe we've increased the volume of what we've ordered, and it's above what we authorized for payment. So I think we need to address that, as well as I'll need a dollar amount for the check you need.
Okay, so let me explain what happened. When we reviewed what we had approved for the board, we approved 250 bottles of soda for Avery to match the first registrants for t-shirts. And after thinking about it in between, I thought, you know, that's too tight. So I asked Maureen to bump the order up by 100, telling her that I would cover that cost for the additional 100 bottles. That way we could give it to sponsors and we could go through for the other people. I just didn't want to have I didn't want to be so tight, right? Maybe give a couple of bottles to Bill Rogers and stuff like that. So as we go through. So I'm willing to cover that. If we want to vote that the board covers that, either way, I think that's what Leanne was asking for approval for the board to pay for an extra 100 bottles. And my understanding is that each bottle costs $1.25. So we would go from 250 total count to 350 total count.
So move.
Second, it's Maureen.
Okay, any questions or thoughts? No? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? So if you're not saying aye or nay, or not raising your hands, I'm putting you under the approved. Thank you, that motion carries forward and is approved.
Hey, Diane, can I just
Yes.
add something?
Yes.
Well, two things. We could always, if we had more left than we anticipated, we could always sell it too at the library. And secondly is possibly, I'm just looking at the forecast, 76 degrees on Sunday.
Nice.
Yep. Looking good.
Only a
Nice.
23% chance of rain.
That's great.
As of
We
right
had a
now.
spectacular day last October.
Yeah,
I
we
think
did.
That really
So,
helped with
yeah.
the turnout.
Yep.
And hopefully it's a little cooler in the morning, so they'll
Yep.
be ready and willing to run. All right, any other questions or thoughts from folks? No? All right, we've got our race this Sunday. Looks like we're in good shape. Open board positions, as we discussed, we do have some open board positions. Right now, they are the two town Republican appointees. We do have one Republican appointee. Thank you for your service. So if you know of anybody, we do have two positions open for them to be able to apply. They don't necessarily come to the library. although we would be happy to share any kind of information, but they would have to apply through the Republican Town Committee, and I believe it's Dominic Payne that you would approach. You could approach Dave Nagel. He's always been helpful and he can show you the ropes if that's what's needed, if you have some folks that you're thinking of. So I encourage you
Will
to,
do.
thank you, to think of anyone who can, who would be an asset and like to serve on the board. And someday we will have meetings in person once again. I really believe we will. Even though we've tried it a couple of times this last couple of months and it hasn't worked. And anything else under old business as we move forward? I don't think we have new business. There's nothing there at this point. So let the record show it's now 8:30, at least on my computer. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Oh my gosh, they want to stay.
Yeah, Pauline,
Scott seconds, or Scott, is that a question or a second?
I just want to make a quick comment. As my first meeting, I just want to say how happy I am to be part of the board, how appreciative I am to be included in this. I see a lot of, friendly faces of people I know and a lot of other names I recognize from town, from people that have been involved. And I'm just really excited to be a part of it and working on behalf of the library and working with all of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Scott. And
Welcome.
I apologize
Thank
for
you
not
and welcome.
introducing you at the beginning. I just think of you as being so well known, and I've known that you had accepted. So again, officially, we thank you. And I know that Andy has agreed to kind of be your mentor if you have questions and go through. And again, as you join the PEP committee, you'll begin to understand some of the rules and regulations. I was amazed at how much I didn't know about the library in town that I used since I was a little kid going to story time. So there are a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that you just don't know until you get this involved. But great organization. They give a great service to our community, and we're so happy that you have joined us.
I'm really happy to be a part of it. So thank you.
And if you need a reality check, Fiona is our next newest member. She's only been with us for a little bit, but she's also a librarian in her own right. So you guys can, go back and forth and say, wouldn't it be better if they had done this? And then hopefully that information gets shared up the chain so we can improve. So we're always looking for those items. Okay, so I'm sorry, who made the motion to adjourn?
Pauline,
Pauline made the motion, and who seconded it?
Also, second.
Thank you, Scott. Scott seconds the motion for adjournment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Scott, for joining the board. Reach out to any of us with questions. Fiona, you can reach out, and we will see many of you on Saturday and all of you on Sunday.